Welcome to my world. Come on in and make yourselves at home. Welcome to my life. I know everything's gonna be all right. Welcome to my world. Oh, won't you come on in? Welcome to my life. It's known as the Tiger's Den. Greetings to all of my subscribers. I want to thank you for being with me for as long as you have, and the new subscribers that's coming on in. We want to say greetings and thank you for your time. This is from Toothless and the moderators. Welcome to the Tiger's Den. In a mother's love, you will find everything's alright. To a mother's love, you are bound. You can rest on sacred ground. In a mother's love, you are free to dream, because she sees what you can be. In the mother's love, you see the sun, enough for two, but you're one. In the mother's love, you can feel something hurts. You can heal. Yes, a mother's love is real. You grow because she knows to let you go. Yeah, mama. Mama, mama, mama. Mother's love. Mother's love. Yeah. All right. A mother's love. And a mother's love never lies. She believes that you can fly with all of her might. A mother's love. Yay, mama. Greetings and welcome to the Tiger's Den. This is the voice of Cheryl, and I am Toothless Tiger. I posed the question, is the music too loud? And Phyllis got to get her readers. So if anyone is in the chat, let me know if you think the music is too loud. I want to say thank you to the Cash Apps that I received. I greatly appreciate it. I want to say greetings to the bushwashers, the people in the clouds, in the trees, on the beach, on the boats, wherever you may be. As you know, my series has been about the destruction of the black family. And of course, I consider me Asiatic. I want to come to you today as I start this show from King James, from the Sun Book, Proverbs 31:10-31. And I'm sure most of us are familiar with that passage of scripture. It speaks of a virtuous woman. I chose that passage because of the subject matter. All of the young ladies in Houston leading the way. Some call it black girl magic. I call it us being who we are, resilient and brilliant as a people, accomplishing the goals set forth by our ancestors. And I'm awfully proud of what those ladies are doing. But I saw a story on Indisputable, and I thought it actually should be spoke about. Just like I believe the story of a man with predatory behavior and seemingly problem children, from what we've heard, should be talked about. But that's just my personal opinion. Nobody seems to find it interesting. Not too many people come and listen to me. So my opinion really doesn't matter. But I think that we have a problem, and we as a people love to run from problems. I understand that because we were trained that way. Follow the herd that follows the cow or the bull that takes you over the cliff. And we tend to continue that behavior. So let me start with Proverbs 31:10-31, King James Version, from the Sun Book, some call the Holy Bible. Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies. The heart of her husband doeth safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. She will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. She seeketh wool and flax, and worketh willingly with her hands. She is like the merchant ships. She bringeth her food from afar. She riseth also while it is yet night, and giveth meat to her household, and a portion to her maidens. She considereth a field, and buyeth it. With the fruit of her hands she planteth a vineyard. She girdeth her loins with strength, and strengthened her arms. She perceiveth that her merchandise is good. Her candle goeth not out by night. She layeth her hands to the spindle, and her hands hold the distaff. She stretcheth out her hand to the poor. Yea, she reacheth forth her hands to the needy. She is not afraid of the snow for her household, but all her household are clothed with scarlet. She maketh herself coverings of tapestry. Her clothing is silk and purple. Her husband is known in the gates, when he sitteth among the elders of the land. She maketh fine linen, and selleth it, and delivereth girdles unto the merchant. She strength and honor are her clothing, and she shall rejoice in time to come. She openeth her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness. She looketh well to the ways of her household, and eateth not the bread of idleness. Her children arise up and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praiseth her. Many daughters have done virtuously, but thou excellest them all. Favor is deceitful, and beauty is vain, but a woman that feareth the Lord, he shall be praised. Give her of the fruit of her hands, and let her own works praise her in the gates. Greetings, Angie and Musso. Thank you all for coming by. I spoke of the virtuous woman because there is attack on womanhood. And the key is, if I subjugate the woman, then I can have the man. And we see that playing out in history. We see that playing out in our lives in the streets. And we see it playing out here in the metaverse. Not only on YouTube, but on all areas of social media. We're so entangled with tearing each other down that we don't really see what's happening. All of the AI that we all rely on and make our videos look good and put people out of jobs in department stores. And we don't really have that problem. Why? Because most of us live in food deserts if you live in the city. But there is an attack on our families, and it's done by way of destruction through government. Some people may not understand it. Thank you, Musso. They may not understand white supremacy and what it means. Neely Fuller says, anytime you have these 9 areas of your life that you don't control, starting with economics, education, entertainment, labor, and I'm thinking off the top of my head, politics, religion, sex, and war, then you're living in a system of white supremacy. We say that everything is equal. We rely on that equity. Although most of us don't study, we don't know the Constitution, we don't understand politics because we were not taught politics. So we don't know the importance of politics. Most of us speak out of our emotions. I know that to be true because I used to be exactly like that. I used to didn't even want to hear the stories about our history. And that was because I didn't quite understand it. And I thought it was what I was taught. But we let other people teach us, even though my dad taught us differently. I used to think voting was not important. But I'm here to tell you today, voting is very important. And if it were not important, then so many people wouldn't do so many things to keep us from casting the vote. But where your vote is most important, It's in your local elections, as you'll find out as I share this story with you tonight. Very important that we vote in our local elections. Let me tell you why. I'm going to share my screen so that you guys can see where I'm coming from. Why voting matters. The importance of participating in local elections. The vision of beloved communities is a society where people can thrive and reach their full potential, regardless of their identity or status. We can build beloved community by voting for local elected officials who share this vision. The decisions made by local elected officials impact our daily lives, often more than those made by state and federal officials. So, it is vital that we head to the polls on election day and vote for those who prioritize justice and equity. If we vote for local elected officials who represent our values, we will influence policies and programs that promote the well-being of everyone in our community. Local elected officials can start positive initiatives and invest in resources and services that will help our community prosper. The subject matter tonight is there a campaign to discredit Black judicial candidates? And I found this in The Defender. And the article was written by Rashonda Tate, January 17th, 2024. Now, before I talk about this article, I want to give you a little history. It's a little Texas history. I'm sure if you go and look up your state, you can find similar history, but because I'm in the great state of Texas, I want to share this article. And so I have to remove this and pull it up so that you guys can see it. This is very important for us to know so we can really see who the real enemy is. It comes from the Houston Public Media, a service of the University of Houston. And that's the alma mater of my son, U of H. In depth, how Texas prevented Black women from voting decades after the 19th Amendment. A lot of us need to know that, and especially those who really don't have a grasp on our history and don't know how we ended up in the condition that we're in today. Because I'm sure many want to know, especially the children coming up now. They're more inquisitive, and they want to know, how did we get in this situation? And they're trying to think of innovative ways of getting us out of this situation. Texas ratified the 19th Amendment on June 28, 1919, then shut out Black voters by creating the white primary. In 1918, when she was 25 years old, Christia Adair went door to door organizing for women's rights to vote in Texas. This effort was to pass a bill where women would be able to vote like men. Adair remembered later in 1977 oral history interview with the Schlesinger Library at Radcliffe College. Well, we still didn't know that didn't mean us, but we helped. When the bill passed, Adair went to the polls for the first time. The memory of what happened stuck with her the rest of her life. The white women were going to vote, she said, and we dressed up and went to vote. And when we got down there, well, we couldn't vote. They gave us all different kinds of excuses why. So finally, one woman, a Mrs. Simmons, said, "Are you saying that we can't vote because we're Negroes?" And he said, quote, "Yes, Negroes don't vote in primary in Texas. So that just hurt our hearts real bad," unquote. And there is one of the pioneers, Christia Adair, in 1977. After that experience, Adair began a long career as a civil rights leader in Houston because of efforts by her, by other African American women leaders, and even a U.S. Supreme Court case. Black women in Texas would eventually win back their right to vote, decades after the state ratified women's suffrage. And there she is. Christia Adair, with artist John Biggers in 1984, posing in front of the artist's mural depicting Christia Adair. An Iron Curtain. June 28 marks 100 years since Texas ratified the 19th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. A little over a year later, the amendment was adopted, giving women the right to vote. Whether all women were able to exercise that right was another story. There was a poll tax, literacy test, grandfather clause, violence, economic coercion, said Merlene Petrie, a Texas Southern University professor and the author of the book In Struggle Against Jim Crow, Lula B. White and the NAACP, 1900 through 1957. She explained that while black women were able to vote in northern states, women's suffrage in the South was a reality only for white women. There is a theory that where you have a larger congregation of blacks, then you have more overt racism, Petrie said. In 1923, Texas created the white primary, an additional institutional barrier that turned away black voters until 1944. The state determined the Democratic Party was a private organization which cleared the way for Democrats to allow only white people to vote in the primary. At the time, the Republican Party barely existed in Texas. The white primary was, in effect, the general election. The white primary, as one historian said, was like an iron curtain, Petrie said. As long as you were black, you could not change the color of your skin, so you could never vote in the most important election in the state of Texas. And here are Houston Women NAACP. The white women's suffrage movement officially ended in 1920, but African American women continued working for years to exercise their right to vote. Historian Rosalind Terborg Penn wrote in African American Women in the Struggle for the Vote, 1850 to 1920. Quote, when the African American women suffragists sought assistance from the National Woman's Party. The party's leadership position was that since black women were discriminated against in the same way as black men, their problems were not women's rights issues, but race issues. Therefore, the NWP felt no obligation to defend the rights of African American women as voters. Isn't that how it goes? In Houston, Lula White was a suffragist who rose up through the ranks of the local NAACP chapter to become executive secretary. According to Petrie, White had been doubly excluded from other groups, like many African American women, by white women in the suffrage movement and black men in the civil rights struggle. Quote, the NAACP was one of the few black organizations that allowed women some kind of leadership position in the 1930s, unquote, Petrie said. Quote, White was what some people would argue was just what the doctor ordered for the state of Texas. She had an acid tongue. She was unafraid to speak her mind to blacks or whites, unquote. Beautiful lady. For years, White organized to grow the chapter's Houston membership and fight the Texas white primary in court. Quote, she always wanted to be in the forefront of trying to get the right to vote, unquote, Petrie said. Quote, so in 1943, she got the choice, unquote. Thurgood Marshall, then a civil rights attorney at the NAACP, took a Houston lawsuit all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. When he won the case, Smith v. Allwright, the Texas white primary was declared unconstitutional. African American women did critical work to support that effort. Quote, you don't see very much written about them, but who was going from door to door when they were trying to break down the white Democratic primary, raising money for the NAACP, because mostly blacks were contributing to it, unquote, Petrie said. And I say quote to put emphasis on it. I know that, normally you don't keep saying quote and unquote. But I want us to really understand these people talking, their feelings, and what they did to make it better for us today, only for us to tear each other apart over the silliest of things. And in this photo, you will see Lula White and Thurgood Marshall. There's Thurgood and that's Lula White. Quote, in that quest to be out front and up front, even African American men push back to keep them from their rightful place, unquote, said Annie Johnson Benefield, a professor at Lone Star College. Quote, they provided the backbone, but they were never prominently put out front. They were never allowed to speak up. It was still a man's world, unquote. And this is the Supreme Court ruling. Negroes can vote in Southern primary. And that had to be a happy day because that happened in a newspaper headline in 1944. Still fighting. Even after Smith v. Allwright, many black women in Texas still couldn't vote until the 1960s. Texas was one of the last 5 states that still required a poll tax in order to vote when the 24th Amendment banned the practice in 1964. Then in 1965, Congress passed the landmark Voting Rights Act. outlawing literacy tests, and creating federal oversight of elections across the country. Quote, white middle-class women got the right to vote with the 19th Amendment for the most part. Poor working-class white women did not, unquote, Johnson Benefield said. Quote, having to pay the poll tax served as a means to disenfranchise you because even though the poll tax was only $1.50, then became $1.75, that was a day's wages, and you could ill afford, if you were poor, to spend a day's wages just simply trying to do that, unquote. Now, a board member of the League of Women Voters in Houston, Johnson Benefield, said that voters today face new barriers like the Texas Voters ID law and the recent statewide voter purge that removed 95,000 people from the rolls. Quote, you might make 2 steps forward, but you're always going to make 1 step back, unquote, she said. Quote, but I think the pendulum is actually swinging further back than it should be, unquote. Still, Johnson Benefield said she thinks the next 100 years are going to be different than the last. In old photographs from the League of Women's Voters a century ago, she sees exclusively white women. But today, Benefield, a woman of color, is a leader there. And that's changing the picture. Interesting article, if I might say so myself. Which brings me to our story tonight. I want to thank you all for staying with me, who's ever here. I greatly appreciate it. One thing I love about doing what I do is, like I stated when I first came here, if it's just me and this camera, I'm going to do this because I truly have a love for my people. Might not like too many, but I certainly have a love for the people. Because I know a lot of us, our problem is we just don't know. And when you don't know, you don't know. And the saddest part about that is that you don't know what you don't know. So let's get into the story for tonight. Is there a campaign to discredit black judicial candidates? And this is coming out of Houston, Texas. I live in Dallas. And again, as I stated, it is by Rashonda Tate. And this article was just written January 17, 2024. Greetings, Regina. One moment. Okay, I'm back. A new Texas law is being used to weaponize the city's judicial races. According to several African American women who are running in the upcoming March primary, Takasha Francis, and that is the Honorable Takasha Francis, the Honorable Erica Hughes, and the Honorable Amber Boyd Cora all overcame efforts to be removed from the ballot by their judicial competition, in parentheses, all white males. Quote, when you get a candidate that might beat you, you resort to desperate measures, unquote, said Lord Kelly, who has represented all three women and asserts that incumbents are using the new law to selectively exclude challengers of African American origin. Quote, I'm really offended by what they're doing. What is it about a black woman that you find offensive when she runs for office? Can't the people decide? You're using a lawsuit as a campaign tool, unquote. In 2023, the Texas legislature enacted House Bill 2384, which created a list of criteria intended to establish professional qualifications viewable to the public for any person seeking elected office as a district court judge or appellate court justice. Kelly has called H.B. 2384 the quote-unquote Incumbent Protection Act because incumbent judges are exempt from having to answer the new application about qualifications. Quote, they are just trying to weaponize these lawsuits to cast doubt in the voter's mind, unquote. That's written by Lord Kelly. Greetings, Asator. I had to wait till I finished reading to speak. This is the Honorable Takasha Francis. Takasha Francis is running to replace 152nd District Court Judge Robert Schaefer, who alleges that Francis is not qualified to be a judge. Kelly says Schaefer dropped an earlier claim to have Francis removed from the March primary ballot because he, quote, has no evidence to support his claim, but plans to refile the lawsuit, unquote, and use discovery to try and find a witness after the primary election is over. What kind of sense do that make? Schaefer's weaponization of this frivolous lawsuit is nothing but a sneaky attempt to cast doubt in the public's mind about Miss Francis's qualifications to be a judge, Kelly said. The defender spoke with Schaefer's attorney, John Rayleigh, who says they filed the lawsuit because as the director of the City of Houston Department of Neighborhoods, Francis does not work as a practicing lawyer, which is a requirement. Under the Texas Constitution, Miss Francis is not eligible to run for district judge because she has not been a practicing lawyer or judge throughout the previous 8 years. Everything we found publicly available regarding Miss Francis' role since 2016 as Houston's director of the Department of Neighborhoods does not describe her as a practicing law. According to Houston's city ordinances, lawyers with the city's attorney's office represent the city of Houston in all legal matters, Rayleigh said. Francis, who has worked in the legal field for nearly 20 years, unequivocally denies that she is not a working attorney. Quote, part of her job is to analyze cases and decide who to prosecute for deed violations. All that kind of stuff. she's actually like a city prosecutor handling legal stuff for the city, unquote, said Kelly. Quote, she also has practiced law for her family and her friends, which is allowed. She put that in her application. She swore under oath that she's been practicing law. This was a bogus lawsuit, which they originally brought as a challenge that she had not filled out the blanks correctly. They dropped that, recast it, and are now suing on a declaratory judgment that she's not qualified, so they can use it in the campaign. If she wins, they're trying to have the seat taken so Governor Abbott can't appoint somebody other than a black woman. Oh, so he can appoint somebody other than a black woman to take the seat, unquote. Added, these same sitting judges have had people challenge them before. They've never gone to these lengths. So I probably wouldn't take it personally if this is just the order of how they operate. It is not a coincidence that their challengers have been white men, or either they've been uncontested. This is the beginning of harassment, keeping people off the ballot just like they tried to keep people in 1920 from voting. It's the same cricket system, Kelly said, but they don't have a single witness to refute one single fact. So that's a frivolous lawsuit. So bring it. When you do, I'll be there. Absent that, it's the people's choice. I've encouraged Miss Francis to just go forward with her election and make sure that she lets the people know what these people are doing. Now this one is really going to get you. The picture that I have let me see on my thumbnail. This young lady was one of the 19 women in 2018 that made history in Houston that became judges. She's a sitting judge as I speak. Let's hear their story about her. And this is the Honorable Erica R. Hughes, who's been on the bench since 2018. In 2018, Judge Erica R. Hughes was elected to the Harris County Criminal Court at Law Number 3, where she joined 17 other accomplished women of color. Together, they made history in Houston by forming the largest group of African American female judges ever assembled in Texas. Judge Hughes was chosen by Attorney General Merrick Garland to serve as an immigration judge, where she will preside over cases beginning in January 2022. She's also worked in the Harris County Criminal Court at Law Number 3 and as a Harris County Veterans Court judge, having presided over both courts concurrently from 2019 to 2021. Despite her credentials, the 151st District Court Judge Mike Engelhardt has contested the eligibility of Erica R. Hughes, arguing for Ms. Hughes' removal from the March primary ballot for her alleged failure to disclose certain information and using forged signatures to get on the ballot. The courts ruled that Hughes could remain on the ballot, but Hughes says it's ridiculous that their character continues to be attacked. Foregoing signatures is a felony offense, Hughes said. I've served, quote, I've served the country in the Army. I served as a U.S. immigration judge, and we've exhausted resources, time, and money fighting these claims. We remain on the ballot, but the fights that we've had to go through to get on the ballot and stay on the ballot, we shouldn't have to face those challenges in 2024, unquote. Early voting started February the 20th through March the 1st, 2024. Election, March 5th, 2024. And our last judge that's being challenged is the Honorable Amber Boyd Cora. And there she is. Last month, Peter Kelly, incumbent place 9 justice at the 1st District Court of Appeals, asked the Texas Supreme Court to resolve whether a challenger to his seat, Amber Michael Boyd Cora, can remain on the Democratic Party primary ballot. Kelly argues Boyd Cora failed to describe appellate briefs and or oral arguments she claimed to have made in the prior 5 years, has no board-certified specialization, and give vague answers as to her alleged courtroom experience. This really went before the Supreme Court of Texas. Responding to Kelly's challenge through the Texas Democratic Party chair, Boyd Cora supplied answers to 3 questions, admitting she was not board certified, specifying that she had 1-year verdict case, and describing her last appeal, an appeal from an eviction, according to a petition. Kelly's attorney argued that Boyd Cora's response was an amendment to her application, and amendments are not allowed in the election code. She then demanded the Texas Democratic Party chair remove Boyd Cora from the primary ballot. The party refused. That was good. Boyd Cora has been practicing commercial real estate, construction, and contract law throughout her career. Quote, there is nothing wrong with her qualifications as set by the Texas Constitution, unquote, Kelly said. Nothing that Boyd Cora is a licensed attorney. No. Noting that Boyd Cora is a licensed attorney and U.S. citizen who lives in the district. House Bill number 2384, a bill to be entitled an act. This act takes effect September 1st, 2023. And this is just a version of the act, and what I did is I also have it in the description. Relating to court administration, including the knowledge, efficiency, training, and transparency requirements for candidates for our holders of judicial officers. Be it enacted by the legislature of the state of Texas, Section 1, Subchapter B, Chapter 141, Election Code, is amended by adding Section 141.0311 to read as follows. Section 1410311, additional requirements for application for judicial office. A. This section applies to candidates for the following judicial offices. Number 1, Chief Justice or Justice of the Supreme Court. Number 2, Presiding Judge or Judge of the Court of Criminal Appeals. Number 3, Chief Justice or Justice of a Court of Appeals. Number 4, District Judge, including a criminal district judge. Number 5, Judge of a statutory county court. And number 6, county judge who performs judicial functions. B. In addition to other requirements under this code, a candidate's application for a place on the ballot must, number one, include the candidate's state bar number for A, this state, and B, any other state in which the candidate has been licensed to practice law. Number two, disclose any public A, sanction or censure, as those terms are defined by Section 33.001 Government Code, the State Commission on Judicial Conduct, or a review tribunal has issued against the candidate. B. Disciplinary sanction the state bar has imposed on the candidate. And C. Disciplinary sanction an entity in another state responsible for attorney discipline in that state has issued against the candidate. Number three, include statements describing for the preceding 5 years, A, the nature of the candidate's legal practice, including any area of law specialization, and B, the candidate's professional courtroom experience. And 4, disclose any final conviction of a Class A or a Class B misdemeanor in the 10 years preceding the date the person would assume the judicial office for which the person is filing the application. C, a candidate for a judicial office described by subdivision A, paren 1, paren 2, or paren 3, who does not hold or has not previously held a judicial office described by those subdivisions must, in addition to the other requirements of this section and this code, include in the application a description of, number 1, appellate court briefs the candidate has prepared and filed in the preceding 5 years, and number 2, oral arguments the candidate has presented before any appellate court in the preceding 5 years. Boy, that's some stuff, isn't it? Number 7, provide the Supreme Court or the Office of Court Administration statistical information requested. And number 8, perform the duties assigned by the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. B, a presiding judge may appoint a judicial mentor or arrange for additional administrative personnel to be assigned to a court identified by the Office of Court Administration of the Texas Judicial System as needing additional assistance under Section 72.024, paren B1. Section 10. A, as soon as practicable, after the effective date of this act, the Texas Supreme Court shall adopt the rules necessary to implement the changes in the law made by this act. B, Section 1410311, Election Code as added by this act, applies only to an application for a place on the ballot filed for an election ordered on or after the effective date of this act. An application for a place on the ballot filed for an election ordered before the effective date of this act is covered by the law in effect on the date the application was filed, and the former law is continued in effect for that purpose. C, the changes in law made by Chapter 39 Government Code as added by this act apply to all judges elected, appointed, or holding office on or after the effective date of this act. So any of you that's here with me, what do you think about that situation? I thought it was something that's really, really telling about where we are and where we say we are and where we hope to be, but we're not there yet. So if you remember the movie Are we there yet? I would say no, we're not. That's why it's vitally important for us to vote in local elections. But it's not enough to just cast your vote. You need to know who you're voting on. So when there is a candidate that's running, and it doesn't matter what party that you associate with, but you have to look at people that have your interests in mind. Do they think like you think? Do they want what you want? Is that what they're running their campaign on? One thing that I have come to know, that no matter who's running, if we don't support them financially, chances are great they're not going to take an interest in whatever it is that we're asking for. As we see here on YouTube and in real life, people go with the money. And in politics, those people have to run a hard race and raise a lot of money. A lot of money to be able to sit in one of those seats. They have to do a lot of legwork, knocking door to door, making themselves familiar, because a lot of them don't have money to advertise on TV every 30 minutes or every day of the week. It costs a lot to have commercials. That's one of the reasons YouTube is going so hard here now with AdSense. It's not necessarily YouTube, but it's the individuals that's placing their ads. And they just don't want their ads on any kind of content. They don't want that. They want people that may be willing to purchase their product. Hey, so Alicia, glad you were able to make it. So that's why, and I'm going to repeat this section that I started out with, why voting matters. The importance of practicing or participating in local elections. The vision of beloved community is a society where people can thrive and reach their full potential regardless of their identity or status. We can build beloved community by voting for local elected officials who share this vision. The decisions made by local elected officials impact our daily lives, often more than those made by state and federal officials. So, it is vital that we head to the polls on election day and vote for those who prioritize justice and equity. If we vote for local elected officials who represented our values, we will influence policies and programs that promote the well-being of everyone in our community. Local elected officials can start positive initiatives and invest in resources and services that will help our communities prosper. That's the crux of today's show. Do anybody have any opinions on what does it seem like to them that they're doing to these judges? And let me take this down. And let me join you guys for a moment. Hello, hello, hello. Do anybody have any thoughts? And does it seem like that's what they're doing to you guys with these judges? It's amazing to me how, like the author said and the attorney, that in the past when these guys had people that, challenged them, they didn't go to the length of doing lawsuits to try to keep them off the ballot. They don't even want these women on the ballot. The people vote, but they don't even want these people's names opposite theirs. And there is a reason for that. There is a possibility that they may lose. So you use the court system. And that's the same thing that, like the article I read. Yeah, it is. It is unfortunate, so Alicia. And we most definitely need to vote. But we need to know who and what we're voting for. A lot of times people just say, cast your vote, cast your vote. And then they even try to sway you on who and where to vote. Unless you know the candidate or know someone that knows the candidate and what they stand for, if they don't stand for the core values that you say that you stand for, or if they're not talking the language, chances are great that may not be a good candidate to vote for. But one thing about voting, it is an individual decision. I just believe in and have learned to do your homework. Go to your legislature online if you know of somebody that's an incumbent and you want to see if you want to keep them in office. You want to go and see what they've done. Have they ever gotten any bills passed? Have they ever voted on something that you hold dear? You know, it's very important that we do that. And then we must show up, because it has to be something for an individual to want to keep us out by any means necessary. Here in Texas, y'all heard, we have the ID laws. And it's unfortunate that we have those laws that keep most of our seniors from being able to cast a vote, because you have to have a current ID. And a lot of the seniors after a certain age stop driving and they don't get an ID. They just have their old driver's license. And when it comes time to vote, if they don't have the correct ID, then they can't even cast a vote. Why should a vote matter if your ID is current or not, when you're the person on the ID with the same credentials, the same birth date, the same height, the same eye color? It's just a way to keep us out. Hi, Shanika. Good to see you. Thank you for coming. I tell y'all, this has really been a season of I don't know what, you know? And it looks like the seasons are getting worse. And we must change our behaviors as adults. You know, most of us say that we are adult, but I don't know if our actions show that we're adult in the manner in which we treat each other and how we act. It's disheartening, to say the least, to me, as a mother, as a woman, as an Asiatic woman, and as an adult. It's very disheartening. I thank everybody for hitting the like button. That's truly an honor. But I have a subject that we're going to talk about on Sunday that was given to me by Regina M. She's so awesome, and it's thought-provoking, and it's about the candidate Nikki Haley, and she's the governor of South Carolina. And I don't know if you guys watch the news. I haven't seen the news and I don't know how long, but every now and then I will look at Indisputable or Roland Martin, and that's where I heard this story about the judges on Indisputable, and then on Roland Martin and Indisputable, I seen Nikki Haley say that America was not formed on racism. And America is not a racist country. And then she kept going back to all men are created equal. That's what they meant. This lady is a joke. I'm talking about literally a joke. As a human being, she's a joke. And then she talked about how she was brown. Family from the continent, India. Perhaps she was born in the United States, and that's why she's running for president. Because, you know, you're supposed to be a citizen here. I thought you were supposed to be natural born, but I guess, you know, if your parents was here and you were born, then maybe you are natural born. I don't know. Those are the kind of things that, you know, you only know a little bit about, and you have to go back and actually read and research. And it's amazing that a woman who has bragged on how far she's gone from a little brown girl to making history, the first governor that was a minority. And then she went on to be the ambassador, and now she's running for president. And see, Alicia, that's a good thing to say that. See, a citizen is a very tricky thing, and I bet you the majority of us don't even understand citizenship. Because America was America before we were colonized. And everybody that I know seemed to think America became America with the Constitution. No, the Constitution is the articles for the corporation United States. But America is a continent. It's North America, by the way. It was here. The Constitution comes from fatwa. That's actually Islamic law. And actually, the people that we call Indian, it's principles. I'm not talking about the belief of, I'm talking about the principles. And so I don't ever want to diminish anybody's belief and make them think that I don't think that their belief is whatever their belief is, because it is, because we all were trained on a belief system. At some point, I'm just saying what I learned, and when I came to YouTube and what I came sharing is, at some point we got to start knowing some things. Belief and faith gets us started on a journey. Knowledge should be what we seek. It is written, my people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. Our people seem to not care about knowledge. Not all. I would say most. When we look at the statistics of poverty and the things I've been sharing, to me, they're very important. Because if somebody, and I'm not the only person, so I don't think that I'm the forerunner of nothing of that sort. But if somebody does not start teaching these babies, I am a senior, and I'm on the other side of 50. They call us boomers. And after a while, hopefully 40 years or more from now, the lights will go out and the eyes will open no more. And you want to, for me, want to leave a legacy of life. I don't have all the answers. I don't know all the problems. But I learn and I grow and I share. I think everybody forgot the part that Martin Luther King said he wants to be known by the content of his character. And I guess that could have all kind of meanings, because everybody has an opinion on your character. But you have to know who you are and stand on your square. Don't let anybody sway you. Life is hard enough, and we go through a lot of traumatic experiences. Some of us deal with them, some of us never will, some of us are still dealing. But run your race, believe in yourself. Whatever you know that it's not right in your knower, stand on it. Don't be swayed. Sometimes we can't, even with our intuition, be wrong. But what's wrong with being wrong when they say we're not perfect? That's just a part of life. As we learned in the 7 Hermetic principles, all truths are half-truths. There's an ebb and a flow, cause and effect to everything. Everything vibrates. The law of correspondence is very important. Everything is mentalism in the mind of the all. Everything, masculine and feminine. And we need to start studying these things. It helps you be a better person. You really can't make anybody else better. You can just be the example that you want to see. Whatever it is that you think it ought to be, you be that to the best of your ability. And my favorite saying is, we all fall short of other people's expectations, sometimes even our own. So we may fall short, but that's okay, as long as you get back up and say, I'm worth it. And I'm going to try it again and again and again. That's all we have to give. A lot of people think it's all about money. And for the system it is. Ain't nothing funny. Got to have a con in this land of milk and honey. And most people display that. But you know, con could stand for confidence, conviction. You know, something serious. It doesn't have to mean confidencer, fast talker. Because one thing about a confidencer, an influencer, if I can get you to listen, that's what it's all about. The listening. Oh, I'll allow you to say a word or two so you'll think you're a part of the plan, but make no mistake about it. If I'm a con man, woman, whatever you want to call it, confidencer, I already had a plan laid out. Already know how you're going to respond. Already have a response for your response. It's human behavior. That's what it is. Just like the predatory guy that nobody is talking about. I saw Asatar this morning and I felt bad for his frustration. I truly did. I share with him all the time. Unless you live this experience called the Negro, the colored, the black, the African Americans, for me the Moorish, Asiatic, you can't even begin to understand, because we can't. We've been indoctrinated and trained like animals. We don't know no other way to be. And a few of us break out because of that inner knowing of who you are. That ancestry, whatever it is that kicks in and lets you know that I'm a little bit different. And I may not have too many friends because most people don't like truth. And I am not the truth. I'm just not ashamed or afraid to tell the truth. I didn't make the truth. It was here before I got here. It'll be here when I move on to the next stage. I'm just not afraid or ashamed to tell it. My daddy taught us ain't nothing wrong with right, but people don't want to do it. And ain't nothing wrong with the truth, but people don't want to tell it. Oftentimes you find yourself alone. And that's okay. And it amazes me, I swear it does, how everybody on here love to say how we don't know each other. But everybody is a psychiatrist and tell me who I am. But that tickles me more than anything in life. It really does. But we have a man who has what has been alleged predatory behavior against 2 women. And I know he lied on me when he called me a child predator to the world. And then it is told that he has a daughter under 6 years old making noises that should not be heard from a 5-year-old, and a son uttering what he loved to do to his sister that should not be uttered by a 10-year-old. And I don't know if that's their exact ages, but it's roundabout. I'd have to look at my Cash App to see when I gave for their birthdays, when I supported the person who turned against me. But that man seemed to have predatory behavior, and nobody's talking about it. And I know that everybody say that they with the shits and they just like, mess, and they come here for entertainment, but it is not entertaining to hear of the actions of this young man, and for everybody to see this young man do the things that he does. And I'm saying young man, but everybody knows, as I introduced to you all many months ago, what Dr. Neely Fuller said. And that is, this could only be one man and one woman in this place we call America. And that's the European. Everybody called them the man. Hey, thank you for stopping by, T.Y. Everybody else is a male or a female, a boy or a gal. That's why they call us that. A minority, a minor. That's why they call us that. They feel that we can't handle our own affairs. And we show them that we can't. Because there's no way that we shouldn't be talking about. Here's T.Y. here. The way that man disrespected T.Y. and his babies. No way. If for no other reason, everybody should be talking about the noises that supposedly had come from a 5-year-old. That someone said they heard for themselves. This was a witness who said they heard this. True or not, I don't know. But the story is out there, and it's on video. Whether they take the videos down or not, somebody got that on tape. The little young boy saying what he wanted to do to his sister. Terminate. Those are some real serious issues. People are calling CPS on people for fun. People are lying on people for fun. This is not funny. These are real serious allegations. And as everybody, when we came on under this person who pretended to care about the people and wanted to get the kids, the black ones, and teach them how to read and write, as they call them black. It's amazing. They have such a big audience, but they haven't mentioned any of this. It's amazing to me. Not surprising, but it's certainly amazing. And then the herd comes and runs the people away. If you don't think like this, you don't do, then come here. And I guess maybe I'm getting flagged. I just flashed out, and it's okay. I can get flagged for speaking my truth, calling no names, and telling what is being alleged. This is something that needs to be discussed. But I can't make nobody discuss it. And like I told Assatar, nobody listens to me, so me mentioning it means nothing. But don't get on this screen talking like, you got the answers, because that's your opinion and your thoughts. And I know you say you don't. But trust me, you don't. I know you don't. You don't even understand what's going on. You're thinking just like we thought. And when I say we, because I wasn't there, when we thought we were going with the woman suffrage, but they showed us when they got the right to vote, and they told them that they could vote, but they told us they don't feel a need to support us. Why? Because y'all suffer from other discrimination. You can't understand this story. We don't understand. And we all know what morals and values are. We know we were taught right from wrong. We all played what we call the dozens. But not to this degree. Not to this degree. The total disrespect is unbelievable. But it is you two, and you do your thing the way you choose. That's okay. I don't have an answer for nobody else's problem. But I know we have a human problem. And us being against one another is not good at all. It's not a good look for the children. It's not a good look. It's not a good feel. I hate what happened to me, but boy, that's been happening to me all my life. So I'm a big girl and I can take it. I'm grateful for all the help that I had, but I stood on my square regardless because I knew what I was going to do. The liar who said that they were helping, I know that was because of Assatar. It had nothing to do with the liar. All that honor they said that they had for their daughter and spouse, supposedly spouse. But yet these people, we got a queen that's running around here amok. But she lets you know she stands alone. But she doesn't. She does have an agenda. And all this female excellence. y'all are a joke. Totally a joke. Do I worry about what I say because nobody is going to come? I only have a selected few anyway. But somebody in the ethers will see this one day. I can't get upset about who don't want to come and support me. I can't even get upset about not getting cash apps often or super chats, barely. I can't get upset about none of that. I came here really to share me and my story. And I was told if you do what you love, the money will come. If it comes, it comes. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But I'm doing what I love. And that's being me. But what does it matter? It matters a lot. Somebody want to hear what I have to say. Somewhere. And I'm here for them. Not for all of everybody who does not. I'm not here for y'all. I'm only here for those. Whosoever will, let them come. But it's serious, y'all. The predatory behavior should be in question. I really wished everybody really felt like they felt when they found out about the guy named Biz 101 or 203 or whatever his name is. I don't know. The way everybody had an opinion on Straight Talk when his story was exaggerated to the nth degree. When everybody disgraced Suge. When everybody heard about D. Santana. I really just wished it was a conversation of adults and some calling being done, some investigating. We didn't know that guy was on the offenders list, but he was. National offenders list. SO. And I understand why YouTube don't want us to use certain words, because if you're a person that has been affected by some of this stuff that has happened, then it could trigger you. But if you're doing it for educational purposes and to help somebody, then they change their rules. Because a lot of people, such as myself, who's been affected by these type of behaviors, we honestly need people to be honest and to have an honest conversation. There's so many hurting the people on this app. I'm talking right this minute. People are hurting. And everybody say they don't know nobody and they don't care, but yet they form alliances. Somebody knows somebody. Somebody care about something. And all the people just like the bullshit they say seem to be hurting the most. It's a sad, sad time. Things are happening to us off of this metaverse that's affecting our daily lives. We don't even respect each other enough to even have open conversations about these things. And it's very hard to speak to a person that has degraded you and put you down and say they don't know you and make video about you and pick up somebody else's battle. It's very hard to defend a person like that. But I agree with Asatar in the fact that it's the behavior, not the person. The behavior that's affected the person. The things that were said about so many is indicative of the behavior of what happened to those two women. And for one of them, I did not put their story out on YouTube. I hear that almost every time someone speaks. That's not true. And I was not the only person that person told, nor was I the first person that person told. That didn't happen like that. I don't mind people saying what they say. My mama always taught me, let what they say about you be a lie. One got to tell the story that they can live with. I know the story. And I don't lose no sleep. I've forgiven everybody that came to me and apologized. And I apologized also to those people. It works both ways. But I ask for forgiveness for everybody because they know not what they do. I've done nothing to them. They don't know me, and they don't have to like me. As Ad said, we discovered there's just so many people who did not like me. In the name of, you're like a Amy. You're like my grandmama. You like my dad's favorite Amy. You're like my mother. Thank goodness I ain't like them people no more. Because, boy, y'all must don't give a damn about them people. So I'm grateful I'm not like those people anymore. But I'm going to be me. Because I am somebody's mother. I'm not a grandmother. But I have some children that I call my grandchildren. I'm an auntie. I'm even a great auntie. Even a great auntie. I'm a sister. I'm a cousin. I'm a friend. To some, I'm an enemy. Their choice. And I oblige them. But I am who I say I am. I waver not. Not perfect. By no stretch of the imagination. Don't communicate all that great either like I thought I did. I thought I was a hell of a communicator, but I'm not. Let us disagree. I get to hollering and screaming. And that was a mechanism that I used growing up and was allowed to use it throughout my growing up. Somewhere in my transition as a mature woman, that should have changed. I am so in awe of adults that can have conversations and never raise their voices. That's really amazing to me, believe it or not. And everybody around me does not communicate like me. That's strictly me. I'm a drama queen. No brags, just facts. I live as true as I can. My desire is not to hurt or belittle anyone, unless that's my intended desire. And then I give you what you want. But just at living life, lying, trickery, I give too much for that. So I can't take for the sake of taking. It's not necessary. I've been laughed at, talked about, sure as you're born. But I ain't never, ever seen the righteous forsaken, nor their seed begging bread. And I was taught on those words growing up. I see things a lot differently today, not different from the truth of those words, but in the manner in which I was taught those words. And that's why I started out with Proverbs 31:10-31. I'm not questioning any woman. I'm reading the scripture because we're all givers of life, whether we have babies or not. We were created to. So I'm going to get ready to bring this to a close. I just wanted to share a little of my heart because I am saddened for the young lady that's being attacked right now. I don't see it's easily to help her. She seems very angry and she seems in and out. But I believe that she was totally violated and mistreated, as I do the first young lady, 100%. I don't know what the violations were. But that's not something that most people would just go around and say. It's very hard to talk about being violated. Very hard. And this man laughed and made fun of my molestation story that I shared. Said some of the grossest things about the molestation. Very vivid, and everybody laughed and gave to make the haters mad. That's the stupidest shit I ever heard. Unless a lot of people share that same behavior. And we found several, thanks to Uncle Shug. He's uncovered a lot. Even with the #1 draft pick. And the deviant things that he's participated in and are participating in. And everybody is angry about that. But look at what's happening throughout the world. Everybody is being exposed for something. For something. We've all lived life. And we didn't all live it perfectly. I don't know why it's important here. And in some degree I do, because some people are so cruel and do some of the worst things to others. And then when it happens to them, they feel like the world is coming to an end and they got to go and find everything there is to find about you and everybody you've ever known. Terrible consequences. Terrible consequences. If it's for no one but the person that's going through it, or perhaps their loved ones who are having to look at this kind of stuff. Because some of us have supporters outside of the chats here in the metaverse. Some of us have family members that just watch and they don't chat to keep from getting involved. I don't know, a lot of people that have formed alliances are falling apart and hurting each other in the worst way. Some of the things they say about each other. Some let it roll off their back. Others take it very personal. It's a bit much. But only the strong survive. You will be tried and tested. And it's up to you whether you can stand the test. At any time, you can get off the wheel. You don't have to stay. You don't have to go. It's you two. You make the decision. And on that note, I'm going to get ready to say goodnight, and I'm going to end with one of my favorites, and that's our children are our future. And I truly believe that, and I'm going to do my best to teach them what I know. Like I said, on Sunday, I plan to have a beautiful show talking about this lady that's running for president and the caste system and what they're doing with our minds. We have to become more into what happens to us. But I understand everybody's not going to go. Everybody don't want to be saved. Everybody don't want responsibility. I understand that. That's why my channel is all about whosoever will. Whosoever will, let them come. And who don't, you're not missed. I promise you. I could do this with just me. That's why I came with just me, with 3 subscribers. And I've been blessed to have over 1,400. And even though I've never gotten past 1,470, so far I just stay at 1,400, and I'm grateful. So I thank those who subscribe. And for whatever reason, if you decide to leave. I thank those that subscribe and that have stayed with me from day one. Longhead, I see you. I love you. Nephi, So Alicia, Ryan, Asatar, Maria. And she's going to be upset that I didn't wake her up. But she works too hard. And she can miss my show. She worked too hard. She gives so much. I'm just being me. Lovey. Those of you that are members, I just want to say thank you. You didn't have to join my membership. You certainly didn't have to stay. And I'm sure I missed some members' names. And I'm going to ask you to forgive me. I really am. Because I thank each and every one of you. The last 2 months, I didn't make enough to get a YouTube check. And that's okay. Didn't make enough in AdSense or Cash Apps. Super Chats. That's okay. Trust me. I'm going to keep coming. I'm going to keep coming. Every Wednesday and every Sunday that I feel like it. I really am. Because I really, really, really want to get this word out. And hopefully somebody will take my video and share it with somebody. Even if you don't share the video itself, share the knowledge. Just give them a sentence or a line and tell them to go and start looking for themselves. Because it's a you thing, believe it or not. Whatever happens in your life, you have to participate in it. No matter what it is. If it's with the doctors, if it's with the lawyers, if it's with the school, you have to show up and do your part. And if you don't participate, then whatever happens to you that is not favorable, it is your fault. Because you got to know what's going on. It's a must that you know what's going on in your life. You got to know. So, on that note, like I stated, I'm going to close. I was trying to get to my membership to make sure that I acknowledge everybody because I'm so grateful for my members. Ryan, Kelly G, Sugar Man, Cache, Iceberg, the Model Lisa, Lazy Bone. You guys have carried me, and I thank you. And I want y'all to know I still have. I really wish somebody would email me with massage envy in their hometown. I still have so many massages to give away. And I can only give away one a month. They're really worth it. They're really a professional place. So please email me. And I thank everybody in the bushes and the trees that will look later that's with me now. I appreciate you all so very much. Y'all, let's just pray for people that are hurting. Whatever your prayer is, however you pray, say something. I send positive vibrations into the universe. Whatever you do, let's do that. Because there's some hurting people. And there's some sick people. It's some predators in the midst. And it's some children being abused or neglected and left to their own desires. We need to pray about that. Send it out in the ethos as I leave the tiger's den. Good night. I believe the children are future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. Give them a sense of pride to make it easier. Let the children's laughter remind us who we used to be. Everybody's searching for a hero. People need someone to look up to. I never found anyone to fulfill my needs. A lonely place to be. So I learned to depend on me. I decided long ago never to walk in anyone's shadow. If I failed, if I succeed, at least I'll live as I believe. No matter what they take from me, they can't take away my dignity, because the greatest love of all is happening to me. I found the greatest love of all inside of me. The greatest love of all is easy to achieve. Learning to love yourself is the greatest love of all. And if by chance that special place that you've been dreaming of takes you to a lonely place, find yourself in love. Come on. Muso, that one's for you.